Right now, somewhere in your yard, there might be a plant quietly plotting to take over everything around it. If you've ever planted mint straight into the ground, you already know exactly what I'm talking about. Because you're probably still fighting it years later. Here's the fix, and it takes less than 5 minutes to set up correctly. Quick reason why this matters, then we're straight into it. Mint spreads through underground runners, not just seeds, which means it doesn't just grow where you planted it, it travels. Left in open soil, it can take over an entire garden bed within a single season, and once it's established, pulling it back out is nearly impossible. The fix is simple: grow it in a container. Here's exactly how. Any container works, as long as it has drainage holes. A 12-inch pot is a good baseline for one healthy mint plant. Bigger isn't necessary here. Mint doesn't need the room a tomato does, it just needs to be contained. If you already have mint in the ground and want to fix it, don't panic. You can dig up a section of the root system and transplant it directly into a pot. Mint is nearly impossible to kill in the process. It'll bounce back fast. Not all mint behaves the same way, and picking the right variety up front saves you trouble later. Peppermint and spearmint are the two most common, and both are equally aggressive spreaders. Variety doesn't change the containment rules we just covered. Where variety does matter is in flavor and use. Spearmint is milder, and it's the one most recipes calling for mint actually mean. Mojitos, tabbouleh, fresh salads. Peppermint has a sharper, more intense flavor with real menthol character, better suited for teas and desserts. If you want something a little different, chocolate mint is a real variety, not a novelty. It has a genuine cocoa undertone, alongside the standard mint flavor, and it stays just as easy to grow in a container as the classic types. Apple mint and pineapple mint are milder, fruitier options if the sharp classic mint taste isn't what you're after. Whatever variety you pick, the growing method stays identical. The differences are entirely in flavor, not care. Mint likes partial shade to full sun and consistently moist soil. It's more forgiving of water than most herbs, and actually struggles more from drying out than from overwatering. Check the soil every day or two, especially in containers, since they dry out faster than ground soil. If your mint starts looking wilted despite regular watering, check the drainage holes aren't blocked. Mint's dense root system can sometimes clog its own container over time, which traps water at the bottom and causes root problems that look confusingly similar to underwatering from the top. Even contained, mint grows aggressively. Every few weeks, trim it back. This isn't optional maintenance, it's what keeps the plant productive and prevents it from getting leggy or overcrowding its own pot. Pinch off flowers before they form too, since flowering pulls energy away from leaf production and changes the flavor. If you notice roots creeping out of the drainage holes, that's your sign to either trim them back or size up to a larger container before they find soil to escape into. Mint grows fast enough that most containers need attention within a year or two, not because the plant is dying, but because it's outgrowing its space. If growth has visibly slowed, despite regular watering and feeding, or the roots are dense and circling when you check them, it's time to either move up to a larger container or divide the plant. Dividing is simple. Pull the plant out, split the root mass into 2 or 3 sections with your hands or a clean knife, and repot each piece separately. This is also the easiest way to make more mint plants for free. Good for gifting or expanding your own container collection without buying new starts. Once established, mint can handle frequent harvesting. In fact, regular cutting is part of what keeps it productive, similar to how we've talked about harvesting, encouraging more growth on other container plants. The trick is cutting just above a leaf node rather than pulling stems out entirely, which encourages the plant to branch out and get bushier instead of just growing taller and thinner. Avoid harvesting more than about a third of the plant at once, especially early in the season, before it's fully established. Heavy-handed harvesting on a young plant can set back its growth, rather than encourage it. A few issues come up often enough with container mint that they're worth covering directly. If leaves start turning yellow, it's usually one of two things. Either the plant is sitting in water that isn't draining properly, or it's simply hungry. Mint isn't a heavy feeder, but a diluted liquid fertilizer every few weeks during the growing season keeps it producing well, especially in a container where nutrients wash out with each watering. If you notice a white powdery coating on the leaves, that's powdery mildew, common in mint especially in humid conditions or when air isn't circulating well around the plant. Trim away affected leaves and space multiple containers apart if you're growing several, so air can move freely between them. Spider mites and aphids occasionally show up on stressed or overcrowded mint. A strong spray of water knocks most of them off, and keeping the plant properly trimmed and not overcrowded goes a long way toward preventing the problem in the first place. And if your mint just looks generally sad despite doing everything right, check the roots. A container that's been in place for a couple of seasons without dividing can become so root-bound that the plant simply can't take up water or nutrients efficiently anymore, even in ideal conditions. That's genuinely the whole method. The right pot, kept off the ground, trimmed regularly, and you get fresh mint all season without ever fighting it back out of your garden. If you've already got a mint takeover happening right now, let me know in the comments. I want to hear how bad it's gone, and it might be worth its own video on how to actually reclaim a garden bed mint's taken over. If this helped, the like button goes a long way, and subscribe if you want more of these fixes before they become full-blown garden problems.